2003, my wife and I started Palouse Winery. We got involved in a lot of wine dinners, and we were drinking wine and enjoying pairing wines and foods together. And one thing kind of led to another. It was kind of a passion thing. We reacquainted with some 30-year-old friends of ours from that had lived on Vashon, Paul Porteous. And Paul had 30 years ago had the vision that Washington State was going to be one of the world-class wine-producing regions of the area. And I thought he was a nut. 30 years ago, I thought you had to live in California to grow great grapes. But Paul had that vision 30 years ago, and 30 years later, we buy fruit from Paul. And so he was one of our big inspirations. As a matter of fact, he had asked Linda and I to move over to Eastern Washington with him and start this vineyard. And he just, I don't know how he had that vision, but he did. Today, we source our fruit from 5 different vineyards. Paul's one of them, just down the hill from him, Deneen Vineyards. We also have some of the oldest Riesling vines grown in Washington State today, Bob Whitlatch. And Prosser, we deal with them for their Viognier. And so we get a chance to source our fruit from some of the best vineyards in Washington State. And we started out under the tutelage of Will Guerrier and Jim and Barb Richards, who lived down in Napa Valley, was a big inspiration in getting us started in our winemaking process and helping us through all those little areas. And whenever we'd go wine tasting down in Napa Valley or over in Eastern Washington or down in Oregon or even in France, we'd talk to the wineries that we really, really loved. And we'd start talking to those winemakers. And all winemakers are passionate about what they do, and they love to share exactly what they do. Today in 2011, we're producing 11 different wines. We do about 1,000 cases of all those different varietals. We do a Riesling, a Viognier. One of our real rare varietals that we do is a Petite Syrah, which usually you very rarely find them outside of California, but Paul Porteous grows one of the best Petite Syrah grapes that I've ever tasted. Will Guerrier and I were over there. We were tasting through different grape bins, and when we got to the Petite Syrah, we tasted those grapes and our mouths just dropped on the ground. And Paul had never sold any of his Petite Syrah to anyone else before, and I grabbed him by one arm. My buddy Willie grabbed him on the other side and said, "Paul, we need to have some of that." So we got half a ton of that Petite Syrah that year, but every year since then we've done our Petite Syrah, and it's just delicious. It's an inky black, big, kind of in your face, but smooth and round. And here at Palouse Winery, that's why we called our winery Palouse. We get asked that quite a bit. Aren't you on Vashon Island? Do you know where the Palouse is? And I tell them yes, but we named it after these smooth, round, rolling hills in Eastern Washington because that's the kind of wines we like to make, is smooth, round, voluptuous wines. And we try and extract the softer tannins out of the wines. We try and extract full tannins, but the softer, smoother, silkier tannins. And they're just delicious. Every year we try and do something special for our wine club members. This last year we did a Zinfandel. We're one of only 4 vineyards or wineries in Washington State that do a Zinfandel because sourcing the fruit is pretty tough. But having known Paul for 30 years, it makes it a little easier to get those kind of special grapes from people. We do a Syrah, a Cab Sauv, a Cab Franc, and then we do our Eclipse Blend. And our Eclipse Blend, the 2005 was voted one of the best 5 blends in Washington State. And I'll tell you, the latest version of that, the 2008 Eclipse Blend, I think is the best one we've done to date, and it's just excellent. So our wines are available at all the restaurants on Vashon, and we don't really make a lot of wines, so it's really only available at a few of the better restaurants over in Seattle. Down in Tacoma, the Lobster Shop in Seattle, like at the Waterfront Grill, the Wild Ginger, they carry some of our wines over there. But really, if you really want to experience it, we always tell people, come to the island and experience it right here. You're in the atmosphere of the barrels. We do a little barrel tasting. We always like to have a little fun with whoever comes here and wants to taste. So we try and make a fun adventure of it. Getting to the island's really pretty easy. It's a short little ferry ride from Seattle, or you can come over from Port Townsend or the Southworth Ferry Dock out of Tacoma. That's the beautiful thing about Vashon is we're centrally located right in the middle of the Puget Sound, and we have 3 ferries. You'll find all the radio towers and television towers on Vashon because they broadcast to everybody in Western Washington off of those antennas. But anyway, yeah, we always invite people to come to the winery, meet our 2 little dogs, Scooby and Skylar. We're going to rename them Meet and Greet. But they are our ambassadors of goodwill, and they enjoy meeting people. One of the funnest ways of getting to our winery is what we call a flight of wines, and I've been a pilot for about 25 years and a CFI, certified flight instructor, and so we offer people the opportunity to pick them up at one of the local airports, either at Boeing Field, Tacoma Narrows, Bremerton, and fly them over the Puget Sound, over to the island, which is one of the most thrilling experiences you'll ever see. And then we go from the airport, we drive up to the winery, we set up a personal and private tasting with my wife and I, and match and pair cheeses to go with each one of the wines, and it's really a great experience. So we have a really great wine club. It's probably the best way to experience our wines. We have quarterly shipments that we send out to a few hundred people that have supported us from the very beginning, and we do some special things for our wine club. Every year we make a special wine strictly for our wine club. We pick the best barrel of the year, we bottle that, and it only goes to our wine club members. And last year we did a 100% Petit Verdot. Usually you only find a little bit of a percentage of that in a blend. We did 100% Petit Verdot, and it was marvelous. We had a lot of great compliments on that wine, and a lot of our club members said it was the best wine they had ever tasted. We also give them 20% discounts and free tastings here at the winery. And then about 4 times a year we hold special events here, and we do some beautiful barbecues, really nice food pairings with the different wines, and we have a good time with that. A lot of food and music and that kind of thing.